Hey everybody. Sometimes developers just can't seem to understand basic math. Their games suffer because they don't really understand how numbers work, and changes that they intended to not really be that big a deal massively impact the game in unforeseen, or at the very least unforeseen to them, ways. Sometimes developers have a vision for the game that isn't quite what the game is right now. The player base likes the game as it is right now, and the developers want to change the game into something else. This puts the players and the developers at odds, as the developers actually control the game and keep making changes to it that the player base does not like. Rarely do these two things happen at the same time. Rarely do these two things happen in such a laughably extreme way as what just happened in Dark and Darker. Dark and Darker just released their patch 69. As we can see here, the Dark and Darker subreddit, which I will be using because they've been very funny about this, despite this kind of ruining one of their favorite games. The Dark and Darker subreddit has been memeing patch 69 because it has effectively made the game so bad they would literally rather go out and touch grass. Gamers would never want to touch grass. To finally get gamers into a position where they would rather touch grass than play your game, you must have screwed up a lot. What is Dark and Darker, for those of you guys who don't understand it? Dark and Darker is a looting-based Dungeons & Dragons style combat extraction game. In other words, you choose a class, warrior, mage, rogue, ranger, something like that. You go into a dungeon and you try to find loot in said dungeon, then you try to either kill people or escape from the dungeon with your loot. It is very much based on combat and very much based on loot. Those are the two big aspects of the game. They have broken both aspects of the game in one patch to such a ludicrous degree that the game, unless they just straight up revert this patch, I'm not really sure how they're going to fix this. So let's talk about this patch now. And this will take a little bit of time, but I do need to go through all of this so you guys can truly grasp just how much these developers do not understand basic math. Okay, now a few weeks ago, the developers did find out, this isn't part of this patch, but a few weeks ago, the developers did put in a controversial change that the player base grew to like, but very much still has some sour apples over. They did put in a change where loot quality was increased dramatically. More loot would spawn, and the quality of loot that would spawn, it wasn't increased by 10 or 20 or 30%. It was increased by like 5 times. Significantly more legendaries and unique items would drop because the game does follow the typical common, uncommon, rare, epic, etc. kind of system, and the amount of high quality items you could find went up dramatically. 5 times might even be underselling it. The player base had an issue where it was very difficult for average player to get high tier loot because you would go into a dungeon, maybe after a day or two you could find one legendary and then you would die and not even keep it. Now you can find these high tier items way more. Now this change was seen a little bit controversially, but the player base has kind of warmed up to it. Unfortunately, as seen right here, the player base has not really warmed up to this current patch. With 46% positive review scores in a mere 1.5 days, the player base has overall said, "Nah, we don't like this, please make this go away." The developers have responded, no, they're not making it going away, and they want to see a full week of the game. Now, to be clear, the game does go in seasons, meaning you play an entire season, then they wipe all the stats, all the loot goes away, they wipe everything, and then a new season starts. They did this change in the middle of a season. So old people's loot, old people's stuff has been altered just right here in the middle of a season. This obviously annoys a few people, more than a few people, and the developers, I don't really understand what they're doing. So let's go over this patch now. This is a basic math fail, and I will explain how this has just been such a colossal, insane, basic math fail. Okay, so loot quality was increased dramatically. The higher your loot quality, this is something I do need to emphasize, the higher your loot quality, the more damage you'll generally do. The developers want time to kill to be lower. They want people to die quicker. Time to kill is how much time it takes to kill someone. They want that number to be lower. The player base does not want that number to be lower. They prefer it being higher. The developers have repeatedly and awkwardly forced that number to be lower over the game's history, and the player base has responded every single time, "No, we don't like that, please don't do that." The developers have forced it through again anyway. So health was reduced. That's a big change right here. Health was reduced by 15. Now, for those of you guys who might not understand what is the weight of 15, the highest health character in the game, Barbarian, typically gets about 180 to 200 health at the high end. The lower health characters are currently around like 70 to 80 to 90, maybe. So 15 health was a colossal nerf to the squishy classes, while not really affecting the tankier classes that much. It does affect them, obviously, it does affect everyone, but the tankier classes kind of could absorb this blow. The squishier classes are literally just getting killed in one hit, which I will go into in a little bit. Barbarian base strength was increased by 20 to 25. Okay, Barbarian damage and health was increased. Now, I want to emphasize here, this is where the basic math fail starts to really come in here. The developers, I don't know if they know or don't know, strength increases your damage by 1%, because strength increases your physical power, and physical power increases your damage by 1% of your physical power. Do you guys get that? Okay. So, in other words, Barbarians are now doing percent more damage. Then, Barbarian Axe specialization was changed from 3 to 5. Barbarians are now doing flat more damage. They're doing percent more damage and flat more damage. So, let's look at this. Barbarian damage was increased. We're already getting into an issue here. We're at one patch and we've buffed their damage twice. Okay, but that's not... And then Barbarian two-hander now increases armor penetration. Well, armor in this game works on a percentage, so it does reduce your damage by percent. If you give Barbarians more armor penetration, that means they do, you guessed it, percent more damage. So Barbarians are doing 1% more damage, and, you guessed it, percent more damage, and flat more damage. Really interesting right there. So let's write this down. Barbarian damage was increased. Next up here, they changed the Barbarian Rage ability. The Barbarian Rage ability now gives you more health. I shit you not, this is all in one patch. I'm not making this up, I'm not exaggerating. This was all done in a single patch. It's actually incredible, the incompetence behind this. I'm not saying this to be mean, I've just never seen a developer do something like this. I mean, I've seen bad patches before, but like, holy crap. Okay. So Barbarian's Rage ability now gives you more strength, that's percent damage. It gives them more vigor, that's HP, and more movement speed. So you'll never believe this, Barbarian damage, movement speed, and health was increased. Surely this was one of the changes of old times that the developers could have made. In a single patch where all the squishier characters got squishier, they made Barbarian. I think Barbarian actually came out of this patch with more HP. Did they? Was that actually true? I'd have to look that up. At the very least, I think they kept around the same HP. In other words, Barbarian now does significantly more damage by having flat damage and a percent modifier and another percent modifier and a fourth percent modifier of damage. And everyone, it just, let's move on here, okay? Because this, I kid you not, we're not done yet. We're not even halfway done yet, okay? There have been major balance changes between weapon and armor, and almost all items have similar base properties. Now, this is important for understanding how they completely ruined loot, but for now, let's talk about this one right here. They wanted to clarify, all weapon damage has been increased. Okay, so all weapon damage now rolls at the highest level possible. So all weapons now do epic levels of damage, and that's flat damage, for those of you guys who want to understand this. All weapon damage increase. Now, previously people could have epics, so hypothetically, if you're running a full epic suit into another full epic suit, you'd have the same damage and damage reduction, right? No. See, here's the thing. The armor rating from previous armor is only at the common level. So all weapon damage was increased to epic level. All armor was nerfed to common level. So let's just say decreased. In other words, all percent damage reduction in the game went down as all flat damage in the game went up. Do you understand where this is going right now? This was all in a single patch. Okay. Now let's talk about a few things here. One, how did the developers possibly think that reducing health, and I need to actually say one more thing here so you guys can get the full picture. Max health and max health bonus are now in the same random modifier. You can only give an item that gives max health and max health bonus. In other words, health was reduced. Just go with me on this one. I don't want to explain it too much. So health was reduced. Barbarian damage went up, and you'll never believe this, up. All characters now do epic damage, but all armor was reduced to common. Now, to give you guys some perspective, I have not played this game after this patch. I kind of swore off extraction looters for a bit. They were very much frustrating to me, but I've been kind of keeping up with Dark and Darker just on the off chance I would want to get back into it. But boy, oh boy, the posts I've read and the stats I've seen and the numbers that have been crunched, just the armor nerf alone has increased the amount of damage in the game by about 20%. That's just a 20%. Let me write that down. Nerfing armor on its own is about 20% more damage, and that's without any of these other modifiers. So base health was slashed by 15, which is potentially for many classes, that's like a 20% hit to their health. Then you can no longer stack as much health. Then everyone is taking significantly more damage. Then all characters get epic levels of damage. And let's talk about this then. So we broke Barbarian. Does that break the game? Does that ruin the game that we broke Barbarian? Well, we actually broke multiple classes, which I'll get into in a second here. But here's the problem now, and let's go and let's look at some of these things. The problem with increasing all items to be epic quality, here's the problem with this one. This means white weapons that you find. Here is a common rondel dagger with 26 damage. Here is a unique, mega unique, super high quality, highest quality rondel dagger with 25 damage. See, here's the problem. The damage rolls on items. A rondel dagger, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's probably something like it can roll 24 to 26 damage. This white rolled the max 26 damage. This unique rolled the middle 25 damage. Now, don't quote me on those exact numbers, but I think that should be around there. The unique weapons do not inherently roll max damage. Now, you could say, okay, but it's a looter game. Sometimes you just get dud uniques. Here's the problem. There are so many, as we can see right here, there are so many random effects that items can roll in the game that the actual odds that you'll get more than 2 or 3 of these effects to actually be useful are quite low. Meaning the overwhelming vast majority of unique weapons that you pick up, and unique is the highest quality. We're talking epics, legendaries, and uniques. The vast majority of the ones that you pick up will actually not really be that good right now. So here we have a rondel dagger, and if I'm trying to be a rogue, or at least someone that's using a dagger to fight people, we can see it's got +1 additional weapon damage, so it does equal 26 to 26, is at least as good as the white. Then it gives magical interaction speed, useless for physical characters. Memory capacity, you'll never believe this, useless for physical. Magical power, you'll never believe this, but physical damage characters don't really want magical power. It could affect some of their abilities, but in general, no. Additional memory capacity, which is a great stat, unless you were trying to be physical damage. Now, this would maybe hypothetically be good for, like, I don't know, a druid, a wizard maybe, but a rogue, no. If a fighter took a perk to be able to use this, also no. In other words, we have here a unique weapon, which should be a nice drop, which the developers did not even put in the game, that uniques always roll max damage. Now, I'm not saying all these modifiers need to be good, but they didn't even guarantee that it would at the very least roll max damage. Okay, so we have way too many modifiers in the game, and most of them are useless, and most of the uniques you find are just totally useless. And I'm not talking uniques, like finding an epic is pretty cool, finding a legendary is really cool, finding a unique, like, this is super not common. Let's say he had to do a boss on high roller, which is very hard to do for those of you guys who don't understand. So let's move on through this post here. Regardless of how you feel about this patch, you have to accept it's not a good thing that at least half the community is clearly upset over it, which is true. A lot of people are very upset on this patch right now because they were live. They were playing in the middle of a season. Their gear is now being affected by these changes. Their gears that they might have grinded for a very long time. Their gear that they might have fine-tuned. We can see here right now, people's gear was modified in real time. For players with existing items that have both options belonging to the same family group, the bonus option will be re-rolled, meaning if I had an item that had health and health modifier, it rolls a random modifier on that extra stat, taking that modifier off my gear in the middle of a season. Which, okay, you can say it was an emergency, we had to nerf it. No, you didn't. Time to kill was totally fine. Everybody seemed to like it, and in fact actually wanted higher time to kill, and multiple people are now just getting screwed over in the middle of a season. Their loot is just re-rolled out of their inventory. The developers have reached into their inventory, grabbed their gear, and just shook it up for them. That's not a good feeling, okay? Let me just be clear. Recent reviews are negative. Now let's talk about this video here real quick here. Now this is the game. If you never believe this is the game. It's quite a dark game, but let's look at what happens here. So you might notice that this character has a crossbow. Did you notice earlier when I mentioned that weapon damage went up and armor got nerfed considerably? Here's what you might not consider. See, here's the problem. What most got affected by armor was crossbows, melee weapons and crossbows, really. See, one of the big problems here is that crossbows were already doing a lot of damage, and once you nerfed all armor in the game and nerfed HP twice, it means that the crossbows are now doing a lot of damage, like a lot. So in fact, we can see right here that here's a character shooting at a fighter, and this fighter, I believe that's a fighter because he's just dead. One hit to dead. He shoots a bard. The bard is now dead. This is a game where you could grind for gear, possibly days, weeks on end, and get a good set and go into a dungeon, and you can now be one-shot. As you're seeing right in front of you, you can now be actually one-shot and lose everything. This is full loot. Your gear's on the ground. Tough titties. In fact, this video gets even funnier because their last remaining character was a barbarian, and his team chased the barbarian in. And let's wait for him to reload here real quick. And what do we see happens? The barbarian runs in and almost manages to kill that guy in 2 hits. And I mean, you can see these guys are pretty good. Took that guy down, almost got him dead in that 3rd hit, and in 1 hit almost managed to kill this guy. So crossbows are one-shotting on headshots, and barbarians, who are, you can tell he's doing body shots here, are almost two-shotting people. And you can tell these people have very high-end gear. Well, at the very least, I could tell that. That's a problem. Okay, now I want to talk about this thread in particular because I think this sums up a lot of opinions I had about the game. A lot of things that, honestly, I really think he summarized pretty well, and I want to talk about. After playing this game for over 2,000 hours since a playtest, it's obvious these guys are rookie coders. Otherwise, it would have already delved deeper into perk skills and spells being implemented a skill tree by now. The second thing is that there must be a never-ending argument by almost every change they make, or it wouldn't keep circling back to things the community hates. So this guy's right. When you play Dark and Darker for a long period of time, you will see the developers and the player base arguing about the same thing over and over and over again. The player base says, we don't want low time to kill. The developers implement it. There's a large argument. There's lots of review bombing. And the developers eventually relent and turn time to kill up. Then a month later, they do it again. And then a month later, they do it again. Maybe not a month, but you get it. It's like every 6 months, they have this argument. The player base is getting exhausted. They don't want to keep arguing about goddamn time to kill. They want time to kill to be higher. 3, 4, 5, 6 hits, maybe 6 is on the upper end, but at the very least, people shouldn't be dying to 2 body shots. At the very least, an axe should have to be hitting your head, right? And they don't want this super low time to kill. 4 hits would be fine, but the developers seem to want one-shotting or even two-shotting in the game, which is not good. Okay, because you have developers fighting with the people that they want playing their game. While it's important to not just give in to every little thing the community asks and lose your direction, it makes no sense that they've gone back to things wildly hated by the community, like plus all. That means plus all stats. Now, if you have an item with plus all stats, it is outrageously overpowered, because stats in this game increase your health, increase your movement speed, increase your damage, it increases your ability to interact with objects, it increases a lot of things. Even cooldown reduction is affected by all stats. So plus all stats is a modifier, is outrageously overpowered, and it is constantly added back into the game and removed, and added back into the game and removed, because they remove it from the game because the player base says the stat is way overpowered and ruins the game. Then like a couple months later, they add it back in. The player base says, yo, seriously, could you please not add this in the game? It's ruining the game. Eventually enough outcry happens, blah, 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 and they keep doing this. Low time to kill is another argument they have. 2-stack Francesca multi-class, and a handful of other things. We need to call out their BS stat shuffling because it isn't content. Neutering a class or gear or anything at all, instead of bringing up the power level of something else to meet the standard set by something successful, isn't the way to go, and leaves people invested in a class or item stranded. So what he's talking about here is we look at Barbarian, they massively overtuned Barbarian, and eventually, he's right, they will destroy Barbarian. They will nerf Barbarian into the ground again. This means that in the middle of a season, I rolled Barbarian, I leveled up my Barbarian, I geared for my Barbarian, and I wake up one day and in a hotfix, they will nerf Barbarian into the ground. This isn't the sort of environment that fosters a community, and the community has stuck with Iron Mace, that's the developers. The community has stuck with them and liked them, but they're finally starting to get exhausted. They do not want this low time to kill. They don't want Barbarian colossally overbuffed because developers can't seem to do math. They don't want that, because if you play Barbarian, you don't want to be useless 2 days ago, then colossally overbuffed now, and then in a week you'll be useless again. They seriously need to throw out this idea of flattening the gear is going to make the game fun for all, because it just removes any sense of progression. Instead, they should make the gear more achievable, abundant, and add some depth to the melee builds if they want skill expression. And they wanted to reduce time to kill to increase skill expression, by the way, because a Barbarian, and I will show you some stuff talking about this Barbarian issue. And in fact, we could probably go over this right now. In fact, people have been, oh boy, here we go. Here's the kill feed right now. The kill feed is longbow, 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 recurve bow, longbow, 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 longbow. Who would believe that in a patch that considerably reduced tankiness, that being ranged and hitting people from range would now be better? Who knew that? Everyone knew that. And in fact, we can see here's Berdache, that's a Barbarian weapon. The kill feed in another dungeon is Berdache, Francesca-esque, that's for Barbarian. So you have Barbarian, 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 Fighter, Fighter, Barbarian, Barbarian. Ugh. And I think there's one more here. Is there one more here? Oh, okay, here we go. Here's another shooter here. Oh, watch this one. This is really funny. So I'm just showing you guys this to understand that this isn't people memeing. This isn't people like saying like, oh, hypothetically this could happen. Hypothetically damage would be too high. There's people recording it in real time showing, yes, people are straight up getting one shot. People are losing their weeks long farmed for, bought, cared for, geared in one hit. So we can see here, he takes aim, and a dude with a shield is hit and died. Now, for those of us who might not understand, shields give you more armor just for holding them out. You don't need to block with the shield. Just having a shield makes you tankier. And here we can see, and he's gone. That's one hit. And that dude's entire gear set is gone. And we're going to aim again, and they're gone. So it's two players completely out of their gear, gone. This is... I'm actually showing you this. And the reason I'm painfully showing you guys this stuff is because I think it's important to show you guys this, because this isn't something the community is making up. This isn't something that the community is just whining about. This is something that's actually happening. Is this one from last patch? This might be a bit old. Oh no, this is 4 hours. Okay. Wait, what? Okay, so he goes for an attack, hits it, goes for another attack, parries, one-shots that guy. Did he seriously one-shots another guy? Okay. Okay. 2 people have now just been one-shot. Well, I mean, the other guy took like a sword to the leg, but I assure you that doesn't do too much damage. So here we have a shield fighter. I wonder what he's going to do. Is he going to one-shot him too? There's no way. This guy should be so tanky. Holy crap, he lost... Hold on, I got to check this. Okay, no. That wasn't the shield that did all the damage. Okay, so he was at a little bit low HP. Okay, so he's at half HP. Oh, okay, so... He did actually manage to tank a decent amount of that. I don't think that one hit. I don't think that one hit either. I don't think that one hit either. Come on. Who's going to win? I'm so invested right now. Come on. Okay, the fighter's going to win it, right? Like, which fighter, though? Which fighter's going to win it? Come on. Okay, so he's healing to full. Well, he's at the very least, he's bandaging. So he's going to bandage his HP back up. These are 2 fighters. These are supposed to be the tanky classes, by the way. They're not really that good at killing each other. They have, like, no armor pen or anything. If you're wondering why these people are tanking, it's because they're not good. Fighters, like, obviously, they're not bad at fighting fighters. They're just not good at, like, killing them in a very quick amount of time. Do you get it? Okay. So he's got a shield. He's got a shield of protection. Okay. Come on. Who wins this? He's dead. Wait. What? So he's got a shield of protection up. The warlock channels. And he's dead. I don't... Huh. That was anticlimactic. Okay, here we go. Here's another one. Okay, let's find. And I assure you, this is very important to get this all. So, okay, he takes a hit. That's a warlock and plate. 1 hit. Okay, his barbarian friend is dead. That guy's dead. Okay, that was 2 hits. Tankiest class in the game, dead in 2 hits. That guy's dead. Okay. Tankiest class in the game, dead in 2 hits. 2 hits, everybody. 2 hits. Okay. I think I've shown you guys enough here, okay? Holy crap. This cannot be acceptable. And I assure you, me spending 5 minutes watching his videos on Reddit was definitely... This is needed. Actually, I'm wondering, are there any more videos? Okay, what do you got? What do you got? Okay. I don't know what you're doing. What are you doing? Is he gonna get one? Oh, he got hit by a bear trap. And he's dead. Wait, so what happened? Oh, he's just getting hit by bear traps. Here we got another kill feed. Bear shit. So there's 4 barbarians, fighter, 3 barbarians. Okay, so just so everyone is aware, this is kill feed of a dungeon, meaning like everyone dropped into a dungeon and the kill feed is literally just barbarians killing everybody. It's literally just nothing but barbarians. Okay, so we got the 2 tankiest classes who they have no armor pen or anything. He's being stabbed by a spear repeatedly. What? Did he hit him any times before that? Okay, so he's trying to parry it. Now, if he does get the parry, he does bonus damage. He hasn't hit him once. He has not hit this dude once. He gets a single parry, and he's dead in 1 hit. Because this attack didn't hit. That attack kills in 1 hit. Oh my god. Okay. That's the 2 tankiest classes in the game. And if you hit a parry on longsword, you actually one-shot. That's crazy. So, maybe you guys could understand then why, you know, maybe, hypothetically, people are going out and deciding to touch grass rather than continuing to play Dark and Darker. I do not understand why the developers decided that in a slow-paced, very slow-paced dungeon looter extraction game with D&D combat, where you cast fireballs and you take turns having a shield and being yeah and block and yeah. I don't understand why in a game like that it's considered acceptable to just literally one-shot people. It probably isn't good for game health to do that. It probably isn't good to and this is just off the top of my head, nerf health, buff damage, colossally reduce armor, buff barbarian damage, and damage, in addition to giving them flat damage modifiers, percent damage modifiers, and another percent damage modifier through armor pen, so you have multiplying multipliers on top of flat damage. That's probably, I'm gonna say it, that's probably bad for the game. Probably bad. So I just wanted to talk about this because I couldn't actually believe that this happened, and I honestly, for my own good, I wanted to watch these videos, because a lot of times when I make videos like these talking about like how horrible things are, a lot of you guys look at this stuff and you tell me like, there's no way that's true. I mean, you don't actually get one shot. Like, oh, you 20% more damage and now you get one shot. A fighter can't be one shot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I hear that all the time. Like, there's no way. And then like I'm looking at it actually happening, and that's why I wanted to show these actual videos, because yes, this is actually happening. So my return to Dark and Darker is going to be a little bit delayed, potentially indefinitely. I have been following this game a lot, but holy crap, dude, there is no way. Like, you cannot be serious. There's no way that these developers are real people. Sorry for putting your picture up here, my bro, but you're perfect. Like, your sad face, your kind of scruffy beard thing here going on here, touching grass, you're absolutely perfect. And dude, these developers, dude, like, okay, at what point do the developers need to just shut up and listen to their community? Now, I understand developers like need to flex their wing, they need to have their own vision and all that, but like, here's a serious question for you. At what point do developers just need to shut up and listen to their community? Because I definitely think this game has reached that point. Developers need to shut up, stop lowering time to kill, stop screwing with the items, stop it. That's the video. That's just what I wanted to talk about. Sorry if this seems like me just scrolling through Reddit, but like, dude, I've been watching this news and I'm like, wow. Okay, so make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. That always helps me. Leave a comment down below, and as always, thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your day.